Never seen such a crazed bee in my life. Seeing the danger coming, Donald Duck quickly used a flowerpot as a shield, and even plugged it with a cork to reinforce it. The bee was unstoppable, and drove its stinger straight into the cork. It struggled free with all its might, and happened to spot a cactus spine. It yanked out the biggest one, and stuck it into its own rear, then launched another attack. It turned out the bee's real goal was simply to gather more pollen. It suddenly used a bucket to collect it, but the pollen was too heavy and it couldn't take off, so it decided to go back the way it came. It soon returned to its hive, a hive made out of the fuel tank of an old car. It dumped all the pollen into the tank, and honey actually flowed out of the oil filter. Overjoyed, the bee immediately flew out again to gather more. On the way, it ran into Donald Duck. Donald tasted a little bit of the honey, which infuriated the bee, but the bee stood no chance against him. Just as the bee was about to leave, Donald came up with an idea. If he could find the hive, he could get more honey. Following this plan, Donald began searching, but after finding nothing, he had to return to the flower bed. At that moment, the bee was preparing to head home again. Seeing Donald, it instantly threw away the nectar it had borrowed, and pretended nothing happened. The next second, the bee disguised itself as a flower, but Donald saw through it immediately. Enraged, the bee smacked Donald's hand hard, forcing him to stop for a moment. Donald changed his strategy. He brought out an ink pad, and the unsuspecting bee jumped right onto it, leaving footprints on the ground. Donald followed the trail all the way, but when he realized he'd been tricked, he had no choice but to run. The bee thought it had finally fooled Donald, but Donald pulled out a cardboard sheet, cut out a flower shape, and tied fishing line to it. Then he swapped the real flower with the fake one. As he pulled the fishing line, the bee stepped right out of the flower bed onto the cardboard. Donald chased after it again, only to fall right into Toby's trap. The bee sawed off half a tree branch, and hid on the side, ready to watch the chaos unfold. By sheer accident, Donald actually found the bee's old hive. He immediately grabbed a bottle, and collected every last drop of honey. When the bee came home and found the honey gone, it immediately attacked Donald. Donald, clutching the honey, scrambled to hide under the bee's relentless assault. He had no choice but to pour the honey back, but the bee noticed Donald still kept one bottle, and instantly jabbed him with its stinger. Donald accidentally dropped the honey. The bee pretended to chase after him, and Donald, terrified, ran away as fast as he could.